Hi, I'm Shap Bashar. I'm with Bank of America Home Loans. I work here in Great Falls at the banking center. I actually have a guest with me tonight, the banking center manager, Medina.
Hi.
And if you have banking questions, you can ask her. So I'm here
Don't
to
come
talk
with your
about.
problems, yeah.
I'm here to talk about some of the more specific lending qualifications. Really, a lot of the things that have changed in the past few years, because I'm sure you've heard that lending and qualifications and everything have really tightened up. It's getting to the point now where they're looking at every little piece of paper when they qualify you for a loan. Some of the things that we didn't pick up on, over the years, maybe like union dues. Someone's part of the union, they deduct union dues, that reduces their income. There's a lot of things that an underwriter can pick up that can affect your ability to qualify. Even though the qualifying ratios, the percentages that are used based on your income, really haven't changed a whole lot. It's just the way they look at it. It's got a little bit tighter. When you're qualifying a loan, you must demonstrate past and current willingness to repay debt and an acceptable credit reputation. Generally, you need to have 3 lines of credit covering 12 months or more, and they'd like you to have a rental history as well. And 3 lines of credit means on your credit report you've got 12 months of credit card, 12 months of car loan, for example, department store, what have you. We do look at payment history, obviously. Credit inquiries is another thing we look at. If you have a lot of inquiries on your credit report, it could mean that you're desperately looking for credit. That can be a red flag. It could mean that you're applying to buy 2 different houses at the same time. And so we'll question that. We also look for things like judgments, tax liens, collections, public records. It's always a good idea to get a copy of your credit report ahead of time. You can get one like at Equifax.com, TransUnion, Experian. Credit scores come from the big 3, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. The credit score we use for determining the rate and how high we'll go as far as qualifications is the middle score. If there's 2 borrowers, we'll take the lower scored borrowers, their middle score. We ask for letters of explanation on any derogatory credit you've had in the past, and that could be anything. You can go back several years. And what they look for is proof or evidence that that situation is unlikely to happen again in the future. If you're trying to prove your credit score, and Frank's going to go into this a little more specifically, don't close too many unused credit cards. You want to have a moderate amount of credit. You don't want to have like 0 credit. You don't want to have like too much credit. The loan program is going to determine the minimum credit score required. Credit score and amount of trade lines are considered for scores to be valid. You have to have 3 trade lines. There's different types of loans you can get. You can get an FHA loan or a conventional loan. FHA is generally designed for first-time home buyers because it's low money down. Interest rates are great, but you do have mortgage insurance, and that can get pretty expensive. Conventional loans are generally 10 to 20% down, and you can sometimes get around having to pay the monthly mortgage insurance. Other items to look for: 2-year employment history, 2-year credit history. We ask for 30 days of most recent pay stubs. Your salary, you're self-employed or commission bonus beyond 25% of your income. We want to get 2 years of tax returns. We look at your last 2 months of all bank statements, specifically the accounts that you plan to use for your down payments, checking, savings, money market, CDs, retirement. Even if you're not using this money for the down payment or closing costs, we're going to ask you about any deposits that went into those accounts in the past 60 days. And so you'll have to explain those because there are some gift restrictions. For example, if you're getting an FHA loan, you're allowed to get a gift for the entire down payment, but it has to be from a family member. If you're getting a conventional loan, then you have to have at least 5% of your own money saved over the past 60 days, unless you're putting at least 20% down. If you have a gap in your employment greater than 30 days, it needs an explanation. Certain loans do require that you have a rental history, that you've been renting for at least a year. And if you have been, we are going to call your landlord, make sure you've been paying your rent on time. As I said, FHA loans are 3.5% down. You can actually get 6% contribution from the seller. So you can get the seller to pay all of your closing costs. You don't need to be a first-time buyer for FHA, however, most of the folks are. Rates are good, but the mortgage insurance is high. It's about 1.15% of the loan amount per year. So that's kind of the big drawback with FHA. But it is more flexible. Sorry.
No, I was just, can I add something? Is that
Yeah,
okay?
sure.
You also have to be sure when you're looking at condo projects that it's FHA approved. And there's a lot that aren't, most of them are, but you just have to work closely with your agent to make sure it is, so, sorry.
The nice thing about FHA is the loan limit is actually $729,000 in this area. And conventional, it's $625,000. And by that, those are the lowest tier of interest rates, so little money down, high loan limits. Conventional loans, 5 to 20% down, depending on credit score and loan program. On a conventional loan, credit score really comes into play a lot more than on FHA, because if you're like a 720 versus 700 versus a 680 score, the rates take up the lower the score is. Talked about the down payment requirements, gift requirements. Oh, that's pretty much it. Questions or anything?
That's a quick question.
Yeah.
So let's say you get really crummy credit. What are a couple things you can do to achieve that?
Frank's going to go into detail